about to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know.
Hello everyone and welcome back. For those of you who are new here, my name is Crystal and I am a stay-at-home homeschool mama to one kiddo. And on my channel you will find things like cook with me's, clean with me's, grocery hauls, DIYs, lots of homeschooling stuff coming up soon, and there's all kinds of stuff here, so stay tuned if you're interested in any of those. Today I am going to be going over tips for new homeschoolers and tips for a successful homeschool year. We're actually about to be ending our homeschool year, but I know a lot of people like to go with the traditional public school schedule. And because of that, I wanted to go ahead and get this video out because they helped me a lot, so hopefully they'll help someone else too. I did write them down because, again, I am a pen and paper girl, and when it comes to homeschooling, I can ramble. Now, along with all of my other homeschool videos, I do want to start this one by saying I completely understand that homeschooling is not for everyone. I in no way am bashing public schools. I am no way bashing public school teachers. Homeschooling is very intensive. It takes a lot of dedication and a lot of time, and I completely understand that that is not feasible for everyone. So please, just because I'm passionate about this, please do not think that I am narrow-minded and think that this is what everyone should be doing, because I do understand that it is not for everyone. I have 10 tips for homeschooling. They are in no order whatsoever. I just have written them down over time as I thought about them, because I've thought about this video for a while now. Just waited until the time was right, and I feel like I'm being called to make this video now. Tip number 1 is don't compare your children. That means as homeschoolers, as siblings, don't compare them with other homeschoolers. Every child is going to progress in their own pace. I know it is hard sometimes to see other kids doing things that they're not doing, but they will do it in their own time. That is one of the major perks of homeschooling, is every kid doesn't have to be the same. Every kid doesn't have to do the same thing at the same time, and that they can do it at their own pace and still be progressing. Tip number 2, relax and don't panic over missed days. This was one of the hardest things for me to do in the beginning. I would plan all the way through. And if we missed one thing, and of course I was smart enough to write it all in pen in my planner, and then when we missed one day or didn't finish all of something in that one day, I felt like my world was upside down. I am very obsessive and I am very much a planner, and I'll be doing a video also on how I'm planning our homeschool year. I did it this way last year and it worked beautifully. And I'm going to continue to do, well, I did it for the last half of last year, because I very much so used to be on Monday we're doing 3 pages of this and 4 pages of this, and it's going to be page number blah blah blah. Don't do that to yourself. Kids are still going to get sick, whether they're homeschooled, whether they're public schooled, it doesn't matter. Kids are going to get sick. They're going to miss days, whether it be because someone passed away, because they're sick, they have doctor's appointments just for random checkups. Even in public school, you have to pull them out for a yearly checkup sometimes because you can't always schedule it in the summertime, for a multitude of reasons. Sometimes you both just need a break, and that's okay. Don't panic. You can always make it up. Say there's 4 subjects you're doing that day. Say it's a Monday and there's 4 subjects that you're doing that day. Take Monday away. So on Tuesday, do an extra subject or an extra part of a subject. Wednesday, do an extra part of the subject. Thursday, Friday, do an extra part. Board on Saturday, throw in a little extra schoolwork and you're caught up. It's so easy to catch up. And you don't have to finish 100% of a curriculum. It is okay if there is a few lessons at the end that don't get finished. Board work for summertime, board work for break time, make it up at the very beginning of the school year. Totally okay. Tip number 3. Do what works for you and your family and your child. This means schedules, subjects, projects, bedtimes. Not every kid needs to go to bed at 6:30, 7 o'clock. If my child went to bed that early, she would never see her dad. We do have a late bedtime, and sometimes, yes, I'm absolutely criticized because my 5-year-old stays up a little later. But you know what? I don't care because we homeschool. We don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. either. We do what works best for us, and it has worked for 5 years, and I'm going to continue doing what works best for us because it's what works best for us. Tip number 4. Never be afraid to change your curriculum. If you find this curriculum that looks so beautiful and you are so convinced that it is going to be so perfect for you and your child, chances are it won't be. And that's okay because you don't have to continue doing something that is not right for your family. There is nothing wrong with chucking it or finding someone else who can use it, or Facebook Marketplace, you can resell most things. Especially in this case, when you're still trying to find what works, you're usually in the elementary years. They're still using pencils. Erase that, let the person know who's buying it, get some of your money back, put it towards something that might work better for you. There is nothing wrong with changing it. Now, do I recommend changing it 6 or 7 times a year? Probably not, because you're not giving it enough time to know that it works. But if you've given it ample time and it's not working, it's okay to change it. This was hard for me too. I'm cheap. I don't like spending a lot of money. So when I would buy something, I expected it to work. And this past year was a huge wake-up call for me that just because I thought something looked like it would be good for her doesn't mean it's going to be good for her and how she processes things. Tip number 5. Stop trying to mimic public school. You don't have to go by the public school schedule. You don't have to go by the public school, you don't have to do their yearly schedule. Stop trying to mimic public school. You don't have to go by the public school's yearly schedule, like their calendar schedule. You don't have to go by their daily schedule. You don't have to go by their curriculum. You don't have to go by what subjects they learn. Some states have specific subjects that they have to learn. If you add stuff, great. Start easy. Start with what you have to do and build and add to it. Don't go buying everything that looks great. Keep it simple. Do what's best for your family and get the whole public school vision out of your mind, because it's not public school. Plain and simple. There's nothing wrong with it. That schedule works great for some people. It doesn't for us. There's no way that their schedule would work for us. Embrace the freedoms in homeschooling. Embrace the differences in homeschooling and just wipe that public school mentality out. Tip number 6. Remember your reasons for homeschooling. Write them down. And remember those when you start to have a bad day. You may not have had a bad day yet. You may think you're not going to, but you will. Whether your student is 4 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old, 14 years old, you're going to have a bad day. Moods change, emotions rise and drop, and people get frustrated when something's not being understood, whether it be them or you. It's going to happen. Just remember those reasons and keep trucking along. There is no one better to instill the love of learning in your child than you. Reason number 7. I kind of touched on this a little bit in a few other reasons because this is a big part of it, I think. Keep it simple. Only plan ahead for a small amount of time. Do it a couple weeks ahead of time. It doesn't have to be so specific as to they have to do this lesson, this many pages, blah blah blah, from page 102 to 108 on this day. Just put math and do the next lesson. Make it simple. Give yourself grace in this. Accept that not everything is going to be done exactly like you want it to every day. And just take in this time with your child, because you're not going to get it back. And it's an amazing time. They are going to remember this forever. So make sure when they look back at this, they have warmth in their heart and a smile on their face. Tip number 8. Establish a routine. It does not have to be a completely invasive routine where you've got everything marked down and if I don't wake up at 7 a.m., I'm behind. It doesn't have to be like that, because that person is me that does that, and then at the end of the day I beat myself up and I'm like, man, I didn't get hardly anything done on my to-do list all day long. From 7:30 in the morning until midnight, I barely sat down unless I was driving. I barely relaxed at all. I never stopped doing stuff, but the stuff on my list barely got touched. That's me. I beat myself up. I feel like I failed when that happens. Give yourself grace, because homeschooling in itself is like a full-time job. Being a mother or father, just a parent in general, a guardian, if you will, because some of you amazing people out there are just guardians of these children that needed someone and you stepped up to the plate. Give yourself grace, because it is a job in itself to make sure that they are fed and taken care of and they have the medicines that they need and that they've got clean clothes and they've got this and they've been taught this. And just give yourself grace. Keep it simple. And just create a rhythm and a flow to the things that you need to do. Now, I'm actually going to do a video on this, but I call it a I got it done list. I'll just write down my to-do list, but on the other side of that, if there's nothing to mark off, I still write down what I just did so I can see it. But just start a rhythm and flow. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you get dressed. Some people like showers in the morning, some people like showers at night. Some of us like them morning and night. Do what is best for you. Throw on a little makeup if you want to, brush your hair, go have breakfast, the morning cup of coffee, and then while you're making your coffee, then some dishes could be washed, and just create a flow. And it will all, when you'll know when that rhythm and flow has hit. I had a nice little flow going for a while until my schedule just got blown into proportions here lately, but I'm trying to get it back to that because that was nice. Tip number 9. Make time for breaks, outdoor play, trips. All these things will prevent burnout. Now, we homeschool year round, and I don't plan our breaks out except for like the week of Christmas, the week of our birthdays, and that leaves like 10 extra weeks. We don't take a long, extensive summer. We are still in school, and we start back October 1st. So we take about 4 weeks, give or take a little bit. To me, that's enough break. It keeps her from forgetting everything that she's learned, and then it opens up 12 weeks throughout the school year that we can take breaks with whenever we see fit. When you start feeling that burnout and the excitement is starting to like ease some, and you try changing, like sometimes we'll take school to the park and we'll go on a nature walk and we'll talk about whatever we're learning about, because homeschooling doesn't have to be out of a book. If you spend an entire day discussing Civil War, homeschool done. If you give her a calculator, have her add up the amount of groceries at the grocery store, that's a life lesson. Like, it all counts, and it's so easy. That's also another subject that I can make a whole nother video on. Homeschooling doesn't have to be the curriculum that you bought. There's so many other things that can count as a school day when you're turning in your 180 days, other than sitting at a desk and filling out a paper. But it will prevent the burnout, and it will do you and your child so well. You will both appreciate it so much. To take that break if you need it, or to go on that random spontaneous field trip if you can. Now, obviously, not everyone can afford it. Sometimes we can, and sometimes we can't. There are times when we can take off for a week at a time and it wouldn't bother our budget at all. And there's other times where if I take her to the park, we've got to take our lunch with us because we ain't stopping on the way. Like, it's all about what's best for you. But you do need to take that break, even if it's having a picnic in the backyard away from the classroom and you guys are spotting all the different shapes and colors, and here's this plant, name the parts of this plant. There's science. Like, it's so easy to get out of the classroom and get a break to prevent that burnout, and you will not regret it. Trust me. Tip number 10. Try new things. Now, take them to new places. Try making new foods in the kitchen, new experiments, study new things. If you have your science curriculum and it was going well, and all of a sudden you start feeling like, oh, okay, this is not really grabbing my attention anymore. Sit it aside for a couple weeks. What's something you love? Horses? Let's learn about horses. How do we take care of them? How many different kinds are there? Where do they originate from? There's so much stuff that you can do. I just grabbed horses out of the air. I don't know. But just anything. Bugs, animals, buildings, architecture, art, you name it. There's so many things that you could study and wrap so many things into. History, science, geography. All these things can be wrapped into one thing sometimes. And you guys won't regret it, because it will keep your attention, it will keep it fresh, it will keep it new, it will keep it exciting. It will benefit you and your children in so many ways, because you're both going to enjoy it, and that's what you want. I understand that life isn't all sunshine and rainbows, and yes, we don't need our children to be sugar-coated all the time, and they need to see real life and blah blah blah. Yes, I do understand that. But when it comes to something so important like learning, they can learn their life lessons when they're playing with their friends and someone starts picking on them or does something to them or whatever. They can learn their life lessons there. You can also learn life lessons as far as like helpful things, paying bills and grocery shopping and stuff like that in school. But try to keep it positive and keep it fun and keep it exciting, because you don't want them to lose that love for learning just because you're like, oh well, we had a bad day. Well, guess tomorrow's going to be another one. You don't want that, and neither do you don't want it for them either. Okay, you guys, so that pretty much wraps up my 10 tips for new homeschoolers and how to have a successful homeschool year. I love doing these homeschool videos. This is obviously my passion. If you can tell, I could sit here and talk about this all day long. Keep in mind, just do what you have to do to keep that spark alive and to keep instilling the love of learning. You don't want to lose that. Embrace this journey and take it all in, because it's not going to last, and one day you're going to look back and you want to look back at this with joy in your heart. It could easily be taken away, but it is so easily put there if you let it be. So I will wrap this video up. Like I said, I could ramble about this all day. On Mondays are my homeschool themed videos. Some of them are going to be a day in the life of homeschool, where you see like what we do throughout the day. Some are going to be tips and advice and things that I've learned along the way. Yes, I do only have one kiddo, but I've been doing it for a long time, and I've actually researched and researched until I couldn't research anymore, and I've helped multiple people that are friends with older kids start homeschooling because it's such a passion of mine, and I absolutely love it. And if you comment down below anything that you have to say, I love talking about this, and I would be more than happy to chat more with you about it down there. I always try to answer my comments, so make sure you comment down below if there's anything else that you would like to see, and keep an eye out for our Monday videos. If you want to see more homeschool videos, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to. Give it a big thumbs up if you liked it. Comment down below. Share the video if you would like. And we will see you in tomorrow's video. Bye, guys.